Obviously being a public-facing symbol of hope and safety and truth and justice in the American way, he stands chest out, proud, just as ready to defeat a superhuman foe as he is to be asked for directions. And that's the main thing, is I think Superman wants to be seen and wants to take up space because he wants to draw all of the negative attention of the no good doers to himself so that he can take that on. But he also wants to draw the attention of people who are in need or who want reassurance, or kids who want to take a picture or get an autograph.
What do you want to build with this Superman?
What do I want to what?
Build with this Superman.
I want to build Legos with this Superman. I would like to have Legos. Please, Lego, make me a Lego.
Welcome back, Super Friends. What's the hubbub? It's time for my initial thoughts from seeing the new Superman. I'll cover what I liked and critique it as well. I'll also attempt to convince you how my changes would have made this a 100% perfect movie, okay? Okay, people will always be outliers, as even Jurassic Park is goated, but 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. At the end, I'll give you my review score as a percentage. The reason I think a percentage is a fun way to evaluate is I can tug on my fanboy side and my critical review side, try to set a fair aggregate within our own innate bias that can exist. Also to Aaron Fischer and harsh critics.
Movie Hubbub is a shill. He works for DC Studios. He is right now receiving a check from James Gunn, DC Studios. And I believe he was sent here to try to keep a lot of suckers in their place, because he is a DC Studios marketing person. So
no shill here. This is a place to share reactions, news, updates, and I will do some reviews as well. There is a Snyder cult audience, and I like to counter that perspective. There isn't really a gun cult, as the DCU is active. Nobody needs to form a gun fandom echo chamber to bring it back, as it's here. It's active. Snyderverse is dead. Wallets open. No Snyderverse. No problem. I won't say everyone disliking the new Superman is a Snyder bro, though. I'll cut off that hate train idea right now. However, if you don't like fantastical worlds and want grounded, it's not for you. Tyrone Magnus is not a fan of the new movie, but able to highlight some positives.
Though the special effects seemed a little bit better than what I had seen in the trailers and in the clips. Certain things with context made more sense, you know, when you're watching the whole movie.
It leans heavily into what makes animated adaptations work also. To enjoy it, you'll want to dive into the DCAU as much as possible before viewing. Also, there is some standard gun tone adding humor. If you like his movies, it won't bother you. In fact, with a general audience, they seem to like that quite a bit. I actually agreed with Tyrone criticism that there were some spots the humor could have been held, yet Gunn did a good job not making Superman or Clark goofy. He put the humor around him, and there were times I was like, hold that joke, Gunn, and the joke still happened. Then I'd look around me, and it landed with most in theater. I called those Twilight Zone moments. I was confused, as the tone would be off a moment for me, but everyone seemed to enjoy it. I'm not even kidding, even in liking it. I felt the audience response overall far exceeded my enjoyment. That's when I was feeling, I think I really like this, but I haven't fallen in love with it. There was some restraint compared to other movies, but a couple times I'd agree he could have held a joke off. If you don't like his movies, bring some whiskey and hide it in your Krypto bucket. If you like his movies generally, it's all part of this experience. The positives: Corenswet carries the movie. I kept hearing Holt was the standout, but I was impressed they really set it on newcomer Corenswet's shoulders.
I think that he has the ability to play Clark/Superman however he is written. It's just, I think that the way he was written, yeah, you know, there's a lot of him getting beat up. There's a lot of him getting frustrated with things and a little whiny, you know. I liked him.
He's just an incredibly capable actor, and as Tyrone said, could play Superman however he's written. I really thought the entire cast works well. with amazing chemistry, especially in their daily planet moments. It also always felt like a Superman-centric movie. The Justice Gang really felt like supporting characters that didn't interfere with the focus being on him.
I must say, it is a bit odd for the first time in my life to be older than Superman. I still look up to you, but more as a friend and a peer.
Yeah.
Than you can't tell me to go to my room.
No, definitely not. Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Why do you think people have such passion for and strong opinions about Superman as a character?
Well, first, I think a lot of it is because of your dad. I mean, it's so rare that you have a character so effectively portrayed on screen, you know, that makes the actor a global movie star, and they become sort of inextricably linked. And then to have a circumstance in life that puts them in a position where they have a chance to play that part in their lives, but in a public way again, but in a way that feels separate from the film, but not separate from the character and the spirit of the character.
Superman and Lois have such an on-screen chemistry this time. I don't mean to sound crass when I say this, but they have a sexual chemistry that I'm not sure I've seen since maybe Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher of the Lois and Clark Superman series. The interview scene was done exceptionally well. She has just the right amount of banter with Clark. The trailers cut so much of that scene, context, of course. As limited on time, I loved it enough that I could have had another 5 minutes of their back and forth. It was incredible, and the best writing Gunn did of the entire movie. You can tell he understands their core, which is a good sign for the DCU. I felt that a lot of critiques ahead of the movie were explained in context, by the way. Spoilers ahead. One thing that was a huge misdirect and actually disappointed me is the object in the sky that many of us considered maybe Solaris. It was just a contained moment to serve in the background as Superman and Lois talked. It could have been an incredible payoff if it were a threat, though, and wouldn't have overstuffed the movie. Let me explain how. The following is just my story addition that I think would have helped with the stakes and show Superman at peak power level towards the end of the movie. Lex could have found a way to communicate with the orb and bring it to Earth. After analyzing and knowing its energy would be enough to kill Superman, he could have thought it's something he could disable himself with nukes after Superman fights it, confirmed by his scientists, and then it gets out of his control. Superman's fortress robots could have analyzed it as a deadly threat, confirming Superman will indeed die trying to fly through it. The only way to stop it from consuming the Earth could be flying inside of it and fully through it, to implode the orb and kill himself in the process. Superman at the end is then flying out for what could be his last time, giving Lois a hug in what he thinks is his last goodbye. When he flies through it, you'd see it starting to melt him at first. He makes it halfway, then starts to lose consciousness and falls out of the opening and disappears. Nobody knows where he is, but the orb gets stronger. Lex thinks he has killed him and is happy. Then he sends a nuke to destroy it, but he miscalculated, and the orb defenses get stronger, and it is now glowing brighter. Now it's for sure going to kill everyone. Lois screams to Jimmy, "Where is Superman?" We cut to him after crashing to an isolated spot, getting up from the ground weak. He gradually takes flight, leaving the atmosphere, and gets incredibly close to the sun. And after a moment, Jimmy says, "Lois, look up!" And you see a glowing, all-powerful Superman heading to the orb, flying at super speed. Superman heads inside it, this time flying through and destroying it. Okay, a bit Death Star-like, but it works for me. He lands, and Lois heads towards him. He tells her, Wait, get back. Something is wrong. I can't handle the power. I can't harness it. I've got to get away. As his glow intensifies, Metamorpho steps behind him in full green kryptonite. Superman's yellow glow begins to fade. Now he's under control again. Metamorpho stumbles a moment, but is okay. Back to the review and what actually happened. Instead of something epic, it was a non-threatening orb and serving as a backdrop that the Justice Gang was routinely and easily taking care of. On some moments of context, we did find in the actual movie, Eve Tessmacher uses the selfies to get her message across, so the marketing trailers and spots showing that were a misdirect to a degree. Superman having the dark burned eyes was not from regular heat vision use, as some worried. It was from a crazy throwdown with Ultraman, who directly hit Superman in the face with heat vision, which, incidentally, he looks like Hayden Christensen. All hail Ultra Vader. Another moment with context is when he confronts Lex over the dog. He says with a coffee mug to hide his lips under his breath, "Ugly dog in a cape." In the full scene, Superman wants him to repeat it. He goes, "You heard what he said," as that made it clear Superman heard Lex and was trying to get him to repeat it loud enough to be heard. Lex said it quietly and obscured where he wouldn't be caught on the recording. The eyes up here moment was indeed referring to the kaiju, as I assumed some time back. No, he wasn't referring to Snyder Bros staring at his trunk crotch area. The suit is never distracting or bad. It looks good on screen to me. In fact, visually, Corenswet exceeds my expectation for the role. Also, there was not a direct reference to Snyder Bros in the movie. The hashtag moment landed well and felt unrelated. It really just covered the insanity of social media in general. The CGI, by the way, is fantastic and far better in the actual movie. Krypto is done unbelievably well. It's also good in terms of the story to see he is a bit mischievous, but can listen as well in big moments. He's not a dumb dog, just playful, and with superpowers, it's quite an added layer. The negatives, I feel they actually didn't focus on the other character's background for a general audience. The balance seemed squared so much on Superman that they could have used some scenes slightly diving into their background. The characters' backgrounds not being covered is forgivable for me if other series such as Lanterns and future movies are diving into that further. Potentially, they can outline more and connect further down the DCU pipeline. In particular, there were a couple scenes where I thought Superman could have shown his effect on another way to do things as a hero. The kaiju scene highlighted him wanting to save it with his value of life mantra he lives by. If they had him subdue it and tell them he can house it himself, where it's still alive and you see him lift it up, flying it back to the fortress, that could have been a way to stop the threat. Plus, it would have put some tension on Lex to hurry up. I also think they could have shown Hawkgirl killing an enemy before involved with Superman. Then at the end of this movie, instead of dropping that corrupt president to his death, she could have still broken him through the window, but got him isolated in capture to be jailed, perhaps even leaving him tied up with a dog bowl of water before he later got to the authorities. Could have been a cheeky moment. I don't think the movie had too much humor, but a couple spots, it was such a fast pace, they could have let moments breathe a little bit. I've seen that critique from multiple reviewers that even like the movie, and it's fair. The movie goes by quickly, and most viewers are not bored when watching, so I'm sure it was intentional. But letting scenes breathe would help the movie resonate more as well. Some of the best moments were the pace being slowed a bit for character development, the poor Kent and Clark scene at their Smallville home, for example. Another example is that interview scene at the top of the movie between Superman and Lois. Most of the Daily Planet scenes are a good change of pace and enjoy the characters in that setting immensely. The music is mostly score with portions of John Williams throughout. The punk rock music I thought worked but was divisive to some. The point of it to me was Superman is so good-hearted. It's rebellious in society from being that it makes him punk rock for being a Boy Scout. I felt that was a pretty clever message. The tone of the movie has some standard Gunn flair, which I'm fine with, and really it has a rhymey Spider-Man movie series vibe, which works for me. But an additional 10 minutes or so with scene changes could have made it better. Lastly now, to my score, this is how I feel in general of Superman movies. Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate of multiple reviews, but I'm using that for my Hubbub scoring. The fanboy verse critical review parts of the brain here. For me, Man of Steel should at least be as high as Superman Returns, which sported a 72% Rotten Tomatoes score. I would put Superman Returns as a 60% on a Hubbub percentage, right where its audience score is. For Man of Steel, as a Hubbub percentage, I would put it at 75%, as it's better to me than a Superman Returns. It was a solid launch start for the DCEU. That aligns with its actual audience review score. Batman vs. Superman is still trash to me. Ultimate Edition and all, I think Superman, even if ended in current as of making of this video, of 96% audience scores and 83% critical, is, for me, on a Hubbub percentage, around 81% worthy. While it's not woke at all, it could be divisive for another reason. It could have some divide between a grounded versus fantastical segment. If you like fantastical, then great, you're in. If you like both fantastical and grounded, even better. If you only like grounded, well, moving on, could my upcoming repeat viewing move it a few points up? I shall see. In this case, even with audiences loving it so far at a high rate, there are enough flaws and things I'd fix that it comes up short. It's in good to very good zone to me. But it's not greatness. I like and can critique both it and Man of Steel for different reasons. Gunn's Superman is probably the closest on Rotten Tomatoes review score currently to where I'd rank it as a Hubbub percentage for overall movie.
Man of Steel came out without loads of baggage with it. And it came out while in an era in 2013 when the comic book superhero genre was all the rage and whatever. Can it catch 116?
Don't forget, you got to adjust for inflation, so it's that number's gone up.
And no, but then you got to adjust for the fact that less people go to the movies today than they used to go to. I mean,
10 years inflation is not that much.
Yeah, and
so there you are, scoring as a Hubbub percentage. I am putting Superman as a solid but flawed DCU launch point, much like the Man of Steel was for the DCEU. Superman Returns, was only nostalgia bait for me. I'd rank it well below other Superman movies. Overall, I believe it does the job to get the DCU going in a positive start.
past the halfway mark of the year now. And as of right now, only 2 movies have opened to higher than $100 million. As we look at the top grossing films of the year so far, at least as far as opening weekends go, How to Train Your Dragon has the 5th biggest with $84.6 million. Captain America Brave New World at 4 with an $88.8 million opening. Jurassic World Rebirth, it was 91. They adjusted it up to $92 million opening weekend. Then you had the big ones. Lilo and Stitch opened to $146 million opening weekend, which was, I mean, bravo. That's huge. And Minecraft. Minecraft opened to $162.7 million. Movie I didn't hate. I didn't particularly like either, but it is what it is. If Superman is able to crack that $100 million mark, it would become just the 3rd film of the entire year to accomplish such a feat.
Honestly, the fact that Gunn even made a good movie by most accounts is an accomplishment. Superman films have not been an easy task in cinema. That's my take and the hubbub today on Superman. As always, look up, not back. Take care of yourselves and others. #superhit.